Well, hey, everybody. It's been a minute. I wanted to start by saying thank you. Thanks to everyone who stuck around, who sent me messages that I was too exhausted or distracted to answer, who've been patient even when I've been quiet. And also, hello to you new friends out there, because somehow about 30 of you decided to join up on this rickety bandwagon while I was gone, just based off of watching my old stuff. Unbelievable, cool, but unbelievable. It's been about 6 months since I posted, which ironically also means that I've been in a full year of maintenance, and that's worth celebrating for sure. But I'm going to be real. This has been a very hard 6 months for me. There's a few reasons that I've been away. And while I'm not going to get super deep into, the minutia and all of the nuts and bolts and details, yeah, I'll get into it a little. The really oversimplistic take on this is that my health it's been demanding way more of me than usual. If you've watched my videos, you're aware that I'm a fun little walking genetic experiment, and I've been pretty open about that. I'm neurodivergent. I've got multiple chronic illnesses, including a few that are autoimmune related. I have a trauma background and a generic serotonin deficiency that like to team up and cause me mental health struggles. And before I started my GLP-1 journey, I was struggling with obesity caused by metabolic dysfunction. You all know my theory that all of these things are absolutely connected. There's way too many overlaps with some of these conditions, and I'm confident that as science continues to catch up, we'll eventually see all of those links start to get mapped out. But I digress. As I like to joke with people, I am a sick person with a capital S and a capital P. And if you watch my previous videos, I've talked about how this medication has done far more for me than just healing the metabolic dysfunction and the insanely overachieving weight loss results that I've been lucky enough to get as a super responder on these medications. I've talked about how it's helped me immensely with the inflammation that's characteristic of a lot of my autoimmune disorders, and how it's been really plugging in some of those holes that my serotonin problem has left in how my body functions. But as great as I felt during the last 6 months, I've really been tired for no reason. And so I've been spending a lot of time with my doctors, and basically the verdict that I have received is that my autoimmune condition is progressing. And that's really disappointing to hear. For me, that's been a real kick in the teeth, because I've been enjoying this newfound freedom of feeling better in my body and being able to do things that I wasn't able to do before when I weighed 110 pounds more than I do. There's, for people who have chronic illness, and also for people who are neurodivergent, and at least for me as a late diagnosed person with ADHD, there's always this underlying little thread of irrational hope that kind of just hangs around underneath everything. You feel like, okay, I've got a diagnosis. I can really start to understand like what is happening with me in this particular situation that I'm in. And you start to look for ways to optimize and to troubleshoot and to get treatment and make things better. And there's, especially in the very beginning, when you are new to a diagnosis or new to just kind of realizing what your way of life will be like being impacted by having a condition, there is this secret underlying thing that kind of lurks around. And it's this idea that you will be able to fix this. I can go stretches of time and I will feel great. And I will almost forget sometimes that I have these conditions. And then I will run into something and I'll have a flare, or I will have a period where things are just kind of not lining up the way that I want them to. Or for me, with autoimmune conditions that are exacerbated by stress, if things are happening in life or in the world that cause me stress, that is going to negatively impact my health. But this particular thing, I had been feeling okay, and then I was just really getting winded in a way that I had not been in a long time. And so for me, it turns out that I've got 45% functioning in terms of how one of my lungs processes oxygen. And so I've just kind of got a little bit of like permanent anemia now, and I'm always going to just have a lower energy level. And that's a hard pill for me to swallow, as a person who wants to do all the things, who's always doing all the things. Um, I probably said it indirectly in the past, but given kind of what's happening, I want to admit to all of you straight out that clearly I'm never going to be on a consistent schedule on this channel. It doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for the life that I'm living. At any given time, I'm juggling 4 balls: my job, my marriage, my travel agency, and this channel. But I'm also juggling a giant bowling pin, and that's my health. And when the bowling pin gets heavy, or when I drop the bowling pin, balls are going to drop too. And the first ball that always drops is this channel. And that's because it's the one thing that doesn't have people who are directly depending on me. I love that people like to watch a channel, but I am nowhere near so narcissistic as to believe that I'm the reason that any of y'all get out of bed on the daily. I've just had to conserve my energy and put it where it is mattering and is needed the most. And unfortunately for me, the last 6 months has meant that's me saying no to things that I really love and do want to do, like showing up here and making videos, and talking about GLP-1s with you all. Given, everything that I've explained here, clearly I need to change up my approach to my videos. And what does that look like? I honestly don't know. I'm open, very open to suggestions. I feel like people come to my channel because they appreciate the deep dives and things that I do into the science that underpins all of this and how it all works. And that's why I started the channel originally. But at the same time, the level of research and the reading that goes into making those really technical, deep dive kinds of videos is so intense. It's something I love to do because I'm a nerd, but when my life is lifing the way it's lifing right now, I just don't have the time and I don't have the energy to devote to that level and depth and get content out to you all on a decent basis. The one thing I do know that I absolutely don't want to do is lean into the news updates around GLP-1 meds. For one, y'all hate those videos. My algorithm has told me so. And actually, that was the initial thing that made me start to fall off from making content this past 6 months, even before I started feeling really, really tired. As you know, the last 2 videos that I made were before the inauguration, and I was speculating on what could potentially happen with GLP-1 medications under this administration. And even at the point in time that I'd fallen off, I was gearing up to try to go and get into explaining like this thing that Biden was about to do at that point in time. And I was already feeling at that point that I did not want this to turn into a now what have they done reaction channel. And that was before Trump even got into office. It hasn't even been 180 days yet. And the chaos of the political climate right now, this full frontal assault on like the very idea of democracy itself and the rule of law and all of the implications for people like me and the students that I work with, it has been really, really heavy. And I'm carrying weight, not just for myself, but for others who are scared and who are looking to me for support. And that kind of emotional labor, it doesn't leave a lot left in the tank, emotionally speaking. And for me, honestly, as how I've been physically speaking as well, this is a critical and important thing. Like politics and people who say that why do we always have to talk about politics? Like, why can't we separate it? That's not real. That's not a thing. For many of us, far more people than folks want to realize or care about or admit, politics isn't just some kind of, existential debate idea where we can look at it independently and kind of turn it around and talk about it like it's a hypothetical. For a lot of people, this is real life and real impacts on their survival, their access to healthcare, their access to medications like the ones we're talking about, their very identities, their daily lives and justice. And that's the truth. But to be really honest, I'm forced to deal with this on a regular basis in my everyday life, in my working sphere, to an extent that's really not healthy for anyone. And I don't want to swim in that cesspool of negativity and cruelty and grift and wanton incompetence for any longer than I absolutely have to on any given day on a daily basis. And again, that's not what you come to my channel for. I want this channel to be a place of hope and support and information for people who are navigating weight loss with using GLP-1 medications. So for me, that means I'm gonna honor the boundaries of this space, and I'm gonna keep it grounded in the shared journey that all of us are going through with our health, with changes to our bodies, and all of those things in between that come with this. So in the future, when things get worse and are bad, and you don't hear me addressing or talking about them, if they're not directly related to GLP-1s, that's why. This space is supposed to be a respite. This channel was a respite and a thing that I liked doing outside of everything I do with the rest of my job. And I want that to be a respite for other people too. If I ever feel the need to get cranky and rants, I'll probably put something someplace else, maybe I'll have something separate for that. Because to me, this isn't the place for that. And it's been a long 6 months. But I'll say, I'm back for now. I'm ready to check back in with all of you. And for those of you who have stuck around, again, if you're still with me, thank you. I appreciate you all so much. And I want to give what I can when I can, with the energy and the time that I have. So I'll see you all on the other side.